Hello, this is Professor Sampson, and in this video for section 2.6 in Squares, you're going to learn how to multiply fractions and then how to put them in your calculator so you can get ahead and get past this section. Multiplying fractions, and let me rewrite this fraction, so 12 over 7 times 5 over 4. When you multiply fractions, the convention is that you need to multiply the numerators by each other and the denominators by each other. After you do that, you have to simplify the fraction. So when you were doing it by hand, being able to simplify it may have been a little bit more difficult. For example, when you multiply the numerators, you get a larger number. Obviously, sometimes a really large number. Then you multiply the denominators and you would get a large number. Well, doing that made it more difficult for you to reduce. Yes, now you can reduce in your calculator, but that was the convention to start it off with. So you would have 12 times 5 over 7 times 4, which would have been 60 over 28. Then, after you get 60 over 28, you have to go back and reduce. Find a GCF. But we're going to do that real quick in our calculator because we did just reduce those things in our calculator. So then we would have 60 over 28. Then math, enter. Right? And that gave us 15 over 7. Right? So that gave us 15 over 7 after we used our reducing. Okay? That was fine and all, but the issue again is making the numbers larger. Instead of making the numbers larger, we can do something called cancellation. We can cancel any numerator with any denominator using the greatest common factor or using a factor of them, preferably the greatest common factor. So any numerator with any denominator, top and bottom or across. We call it cross cancellation. So if I go back to my problem, okay, this time I want to reduce first before I multiply straight across. So what I want to say is, do 12 and 7 have anything in common? No. But what about 12 and 4? Yes, they have a common factor of 4. So 12 goes into 4 goes into 4 one time, and then 4 goes into 12 3 times. Right? So now those are reduced, and everything is reduced because all the tops and bottoms, all the numerators and denominators don't have any factors in common but 1. Now we can multiply our numerators. Now our numerator is 3 times 5 over 7 times 1, which gives us again 15 over 7. Right? That way is a little easier because we reduce before we actually multiply our numerators and then our denominators. Alright? So that's how you do your fractions by hand. Again, I'm going to show you how to do them in your calculator. It's going to be the same as we learned how to do the individual ones, but only with putting in 2. So let me do one more and do it by hand. Okay? This one is 7 over 48 times 24 over 51. Again, if we multiply 48 times 51, we're going to get a really large number. We don't want that. So we want to see if we have any factors in common. And I think I do. The first factors I see currently, well, I see a couple. 24 and 51 have a factor in common. Alright? So they have a factor in common. Also, 24 and 48 have a factor in common. So either one of these you can work with. You would have to cross cancel to work with, or you can cancel numerator denominator here or numerator denominator here. Right? It doesn't matter. I'm going to go across because I see that 24 is the factor of 24 and 48. Alright? 24 goes into 24 one time. 24 goes into 48 two times. Alright? I've now reduced those, and now I can multiply across and get an answer that's reduced. We'll see in a minute. We have 7 times 1 now, which is 7. And then we have 2 times 51, which is 102. And I could actually check in my calculator and make sure that's fully reduced by just taking my calculator and putting in 7 over 102, math, enter, because remember, my calculator is always going to give me the reduced answer. And no, 7 over 102 is already reduced because it gave me back the same answer. You could have canceled the other way. It doesn't matter. For example, I had that 7 over 48 times 24 over 51. Right? 24 and 51 have a common factor. I'm going to tell you it does. Let's look and find our GCF. Math, num, 9. Right? And we'll find our GCF. I hit enter too fast. Alright, so math num 9, I'm going to put in 24 and 51 because I know they have a common factor. Their factor is 3. That means that 3 is the greatest number that goes into both of them, so we're going to use that, right? We're going to say 3 goes into 24 8 times, right? And 3 goes into 51 17 times. Right? That's what we reduced it to. We always look and see if there's any more reduction that can be done. So let's see. 8 and 17, no, they don't have anything in common. But actually, 8 and 48 would have something in common. Alright? And we would find the greatest common factors between those two if we were doing this by hand. So I would find my GCF between 8 and 48, and I see that it's 8, of course, right? And then I can cancel again. My 8 goes into 8 one time, right? And 8 goes into 48 6 times. Now everything is reduced because there's nothing else that can go into it. 1 doesn't reduce anything, and 7 and 6 don't have a common factor, neither do 7 and 17. Now I can multiply my 7 times my 1, get 7, and then I can multiply my 17 times the 6 and get 102. So it doesn't matter which way you do it or how you cancel, then you'll still get the same answer as long as you cancel completely. Alright. So that's your crash course on how to work these in by hand, because then eventually you're going to at least need to know that when you multiply fractions with tops and bottoms, you can cross cancel those fractions. Okay? So let's do it in a calculator. Doing it in a calculator is simple enough. We don't have to change anything, we just have to put it in a calculator. Now, if you're going to put this in a calculator, my suggestion is that all fractions, if you're putting it in, must go in parentheses. Alright, so this is without the upgrade. So this is without the upgrade. So if you had 12 over 7 times 5 over 4, 12 over 7 times 5 over 4 without the upgrade. What you would have to do is put 12 over 7 in parentheses and then 5 over 4 in parentheses, just to be safe. Because later on when you're doing more than one fraction, you don't want the calculator to not be able to follow the order of operations. So if you're going to do it that way, you're just going to put a parenthesis, and we talked about parentheses, right? 12 over 7, close my parenthesis, and then I'm going to multiply that by another parenthesis with 5 over 4. Close my parenthesis. If I hit enter, of course, I'm going to get a decimal, and then from there I hit math, enter, and I'm going to get the answer 15 over 7, which is what we did when we did this problem both ways. Alright, we got 15 over 7. So you don't do anything different but put it in parentheses. Alright, if you're not using the upgrade. We're going to use the upgrade for this one. And for this one, I like using the upgrade when you have more than one fraction. Alright, so we're going to go to alpha y equals. Hit number 1 for our fill in the blank. So we have 12 down 7. We don't need the parentheses. Go over so you can put in your multiplication sign times, right? And then you're going to go back to your alpha menu, right? Alpha y equals, and then you're going to hit it again for your 5 over 4. This way is cool because you get 15 over 7 right away. Again, you don't have to hit math, enter. Okay? So you can go through doing these. First one that we did, we can do it either way. We can do it with or without the upgrade. Alright, 7 over 48 times 24 over 51. If I want to use the upgrade, alright, I hit 7 over 48, go down to 48, and I go over, hit times, and then I go back into my menu, and then I had 24 down to 51, and I hit enter, and I got my same 7 times 105, 7 over 1 over 2. If I didn't have the upgrade, or I didn't have an 84 plus, and I was using a different calculator, or 83, all I have to do is make sure I put those fractions in parentheses, and you really don't need the times there. 24 divided by 51, and then if I hit enter, I see I got a decimal. I hit math, enter, and I'm still at the same place of getting the answer. Only difference is that I had to put in a parenthesis. Alright, let's do a couple more. Alright. Here's one here. 4 times 9 over 5. Alright. Since 4 is not a fraction, you can just type in 4 times. If you're doing this way, then you got 9 over 5. Then you have to hit math, enter to get your answer, which is 36 over 5. If I was using the upgrade, I would hit 4. Then I would hit times. Now I go to my alpha y equals menu. Right, at this point I can go and then fill in my blank for my 9 over 5. Because whole number is not a fraction, so I don't go to the fraction menu when I don't have a fraction. Right, and again that answer is 36 over 5. Make sure you always read the directions. Directions said type a whole number. We don't have a whole number or a simplified fraction. The calculator is giving you back a simplified fraction. Right. Take a look at this one. Alright. 2 over 24 times 16. Yes, we're going to do it in our calculator, but again I want to show you if you had to do it by hand what you could do. You had 2 over 24 times 16. 16 is understood, right, as 16 over 1 if you were using it, if you had to turn it into a fraction. Right, anything over 1. Right. So you can cancel these two, 16 and 24, they have a common factor of 8, or you can cancel these two. Alright, I'm going to do 16. 16 goes into 16, 8 goes into 16 twice, 8 goes into 24 3 times. There's nothing else to cancel, so now my answer is 2 times 2, which is 4, over 3 times 1, which is 3. Alright, so that's my answer. Just so you know, you could do it by hand. If we did it in our handy dandy notebook here, our calculator, we would put in, if we did the upgrade, we could do it here, 2 over 24, then times 16. It's going to give us our answer, 4 over 3. Again, we could have did the parentheses, 2 over 24 times 16. And then we would have to do math, enter right away to get it to reduce for us to 4/3. Okay. Let's do one more here. And we're just going to do it really quick with the calculator. Alright. We have 8 over 33 times 3 over 40. Right? So I'm going to go parentheses 8 over 33. times. I don't really need a multiplication symbol because parentheses means multiplication. Alright, so times 3 over 40. Then I hit math, enter. Since I know I'm not using the upgrade, it's not going to give me the reduced answer, and it said the answer is 1 over 55. Alright. And again, I could do that using the upgrade if I wanted to. I'll do that real quick. Alright. So it was 8 over 33. Go over, hit your times button. Now you have to put in the other one, which was 3 over 40. Hit enter, and you have your answer 1 over 55. So that's how you do your multiplication of fractions in a calculator and also by hand.